Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I have a ton of huge news to share with all of you today. So, today's date being February 19th, 2025, on Wednesday. So much news coming out from this war. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to fit all of it in this video, but I tried to compile as much good news as I could for you guys to give you a good update today on what's going on with this war. We might do multiple videos today talking about a lot of different topics because so much information coming out. But let's start off talking about Russia's Syzran oil refinery. Okay, last night came under attack by Ukrainian drones. Ukraine launching another drone swarm into Russia last night, primarily targeting this facility. I believe it was hit multiple times, and we had multiple fires breaking out. Looks like at least two major fires here in this video. You can see one kind of in the center and one off to the left over there. And the governor of this region claimed that there was no major damage to this facility. I do also have video footage coming out during the daytime showing this thing still smoking and burning. So looks like we had major damage over here to this facility, and what's being reported is it has shut down temporarily after the strike. Okay, so we'll talk more about the Syzran oil refinery in the Samara region of Russia, approximately 800 kilometers from the border of Ukraine. We also had reports of Ukraine coming under a massive drone attack last night by Russia. Russia launched something like about 170 drones into Ukraine, and the city of Odessa being hammered very hard last night. So much damage to report there, and some people, I think, losing their lives and being injured in those attacks. So I believe some bombs were being dropped inside of Ukraine last night as well. I'm not sure if any cruise missiles were fired. There was some reports of missiles incoming. But we do have reports, I think, in Kostiantynivka, there were guided aerial bombs that were dropped in that area, okay? So again, just so much news coming out from this war. We're going to go ahead and start diving into this. Let me start sharing all this news with you. So this is from Vicegrad24. Breaking. A Ukrainian drone swarm strike deep inside Russia has set one of the country's largest oil refineries on fire. Ukrainian drones struck the Syzran oil refinery in the Samara region a few hours ago. All right, so we've got a video here from Vicegrad24. This just coming out yesterday around 5:24 p.m. my time. So this would have been early in the morning, probably around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning inside of Russia. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video real quick, about 6 seconds long. All right, so we can see a massive fire here at this facility. This video is very similar to the one I showed you guys on the waiting screen when you came in. So you can see that massive flame right there in the center. Another one off to the left, and maybe some smaller fires right over here just to the right. Okay, so pretty massive damage to this facility, and I believe it was struck multiple times with drones. So let's go ahead and hop into a map now. Let me show you guys exactly where this facility is located at in the Samara region of Russia. So we got Ukrainian territory over here. Here's Russia. There's Moscow up here. So kind of southeast of Moscow. We're going to zoom in to the Samara region. Here's the city of Samara right here. So just a little bit to the west of that. We have the city of Syzran. Okay, so Syzran being located right next to the Volga River. Just to the south of Syzran over here, we have the Syzran oil refinery. Okay, so you can see a very massive facility, and I believe this is, I think, the third largest inside of Russia, if not one of the largest, owned by Rosneft, a major oil company inside of Russia. Okay, so massive hits here last night. We can see a lot of these oil storage tanks up here on the northern side, also in the central area. So maybe some of these oil storage tanks were hit. That could be what we're seeing with a lot of this fire coming from this facility. But we can see it is very big, okay? Very large facility over here in Syzran. Again, in the western side of the Samara region, okay, just over here, not too far away from Samara, and just southeast of Moscow, okay, probably about 800 kilometers or so from the border of Ukraine, okay. So let's jump back on over to X. Let me show you some more pictures over here from Azov South. Good UAVs worked at the oil refinery in Samara, Russia. Okay, so here's another picture coming out from that area showing this massive fire. At least two fires here, maybe even a third or fourth right there, just like we were able to see in the video. Here's another video as well, somebody much further away. Max24 reports Bavovna at the Syzran oil refinery in Samara region. Okay, so Bavovna, if you're not familiar with that, it's the Ukrainian word for cotton. but they use this word for like explosion. So here's that video for you guys. They're zooming in a little bit. You can see that massive flame coming from the facility after direct strikes by Ukrainian drones. So this looks like this might be maybe the initial hit, as we're not seeing any other flames on the sides of this. So probably an earlier video just before it got attacked multiple times again. Now we'll move on to Astra in Russia. Syzran oil refinery is still burning after overnight drone attack, according to Astra analysis. Okay, and it says, as a result of the drone attack on the night of February 18th to the 19th, the Syzran oil refinery sustained damage to a primary crude processing unit. Astra sources report the drone crashed into the AVT-6 unit, igniting a fire that spread across 30 square meters. Operations at the facility have been temporarily halted. Samara Region Governor Vyacheslav Fedorashev stated that the consequences of the attack have already been eliminated and that the refinery suffered no major damage. No casualties were reported. However, footage shared by local residents suggests that the Syzran refinery is still burning. Okay, so we got a video here and a couple photos we can take a look at. This video doesn't have any sound, but this was taken during the morning, and you can see there is still a fire there at the facility and smoke coming from it. For sure right here, looks like maybe a little bit of smoke up in this direction over here as well. These are probably the people that live in this area or maybe work at this facilities. They're showing up, and somebody started recording showing this thing still on fire. Okay, so definitely was some major damage here. A couple photos coming out as well. This one clearly shows that fire coming from the facility right there. That's very easy to see, very clear picture there. And also some more photos just kind of showing where these pictures were taken at and the location of the facility. You can see these smokestacks here. So the refinery being on the other side of this building where it got hit at, and just kind of some satellite imagery as well showing the direction of where this fire was coming from. This person took the picture and the photo from this area, okay? So now we'll move on to Max 24, more from Syzran oil refinery, okay? Some more pictures coming out also showing the fire here on the localized site of this facility. We can see multiple fires in this one, actually. This is a very good photo because not only do we see fires here, but we can see another one has broke out over there as well, okay? So maybe they did put out some of the fires here, but it looks like we still had some burning on this facility late into the morning. All right, now we're going to talk about Odessa inside of Ukraine. This is in southwestern Ukraine from Bliskovka. In Odessa, after a massive Russian attack, many buildings have no electricity, water, or heat, according to Mayor Trukhanov. Okay, and it says hospitals, polyclinics, and social infrastructure facilities are without heating, and operational headquarters is being deployed. Okay, so take a look at this, guys. I believe this is a hospital inside of Ukraine or some sort of facility that took on massive damage here after it was hit by Russian drones incoming to Odessa last night. Just so much coming out from this area. They were massively attacked, and so much damage to report over here. Okay, you can see a lot of damage to that building there as well. Okay, here's another one from Alex Bond. Orcs hit a hospital in Odessa. Okay, we got a 15-second clip also to show you of damage to this hospital. Take a look at this. All right, so Russia's been coming out recently stating that they only go after military targets inside of Ukraine. They talk about how Ukraine is creating atrocities or committing atrocities inside the eastern portion of Ukraine in the controlled areas by Russia. But I mean, look at what Russia's doing over here. I mean, they're just hammering hospitals left and right. We've been reporting this multiple times, destroying critical infrastructure inside of Ukraine, gas facilities, electrical substations. I'll show you that here in just a minute inside of Odessa as well. Here's another one from Anton Gerashenko. Russian attack on Odessa last night. Civilian infrastructure damaged once more. Local authorities reported 4 people injured. Children's outpatient facility and daycare badly damaged. 14 schools, 13 daycares, over 500 residential buildings without electricity and heat. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, can't show you guys the video here. It's a little bit graphic and also some music here, but we can see in this snapshot a massive crater here, and I believe there could have been missiles being fired into Odessa last night as well. Wasn't too much talk about missiles, but considering the amount of damage here on the ground, this looks like it was potentially a missile that was fired. Here's a video coming out from Poly Market Intel. Breaking now, Russian drone struck a building in Odessa, Ukraine, as a massive attack underway with over 150 drones targeting the country. Okay, so this is a very quick clip, and I want to warn you right now before we play it, it is very loud. This person's going to be driving, and then a second or two later, all of a sudden, a drone smashes into a building right next to them, and the woman is going to scream in terror. Take a look at this. I just wanted to roll that a couple times just in case you missed it the first time, but we can see this woman driving, and then all of a sudden that drone smashing into the building right next to her. You can see the explosion lighting up that side of the building there, and it completely scared her as she's driving right next to that building. So very scary video coming out from there. Now for Mosin Defender. Less than 24 hours after this morning's negotiations between the U.S. and Russian officials in Saudi Arabia, Russia tonight has launched one of its largest drone attacks in recent months against Odessa and other cities across Ukraine, with over 150 Iranian-produced drones targeting energy infrastructure and other Ukrainian-sensitive sites. They're mocking us, okay? So we got a video here that's going to show lots of explosions inside of Odessa. A couple photos coming out from here showing the damage, okay? So let's start off with this video here. Okay, so just a quick 10-second clip, but we can hear a lot of these drones incoming and just smashing into targets all over Odessa. We know a lot of critical infrastructure was hit inside of Odessa last night, residential buildings being hit as well, that hospital. So not sure exactly what Russia was going after over here, but lots of civilian infrastructure being hit. Okay, we can see multiple fires have broke out as well inside of the city, and Odessa has been getting hammered very hard recently. Here's another one as well, which looks like near some buildings over here, we can see some fires, maybe in a parking lot. It's really hard to tell right there. Possibly some cars caught on fire. So this is what Russia's been doing to Ukraine recently, okay? Again, hitting more civilian targets, okay? Now for Mosin Defender, according to the Russian state media service TASS, during yesterday's summit in Saudi Arabia, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio attempted to get the Russian delegation to sign a memorandum to forbid further strikes against Ukrainian energy infrastructure, with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov refusing, claiming that Russia has never targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure. A Russian drone just struck a power substation in the coastal Ukrainian city of Odessa. So this is video footage coming out from that area. And yeah, I reported that to you guys yesterday that Lavrov did come out in that meeting in Saudi Arabia yesterday, refusing to sign a memorandum to stop attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure in their territory. And he was like, nope, we're not going to sign it. And there's no need to, because we haven't been targeting Ukraine's critical infrastructure only for the military, is what he said. So, you know, this is, again, more evidence of Russia destroying electrical substations in Ukraine, destroying their thermal power plants. I mean, we've seen that numerous times inside of Ukraine. I don't know how many times I've reported that. So clearly that is a lie from Lavrov. And literally just a week ago, prior to the Saudi Arabia meeting, they had just destroyed a major gas facility inside of Poltava, and it left numerous regions inside the Poltava area without gas and heating, okay? So we have been seeing this a lot from Russia, but Russia's claiming that it's only for military use when they go after these, okay? So you guys can let me know what you think about that. Now from Liskovka. Last night, the occupiers attacked Kostiantynivka with guided bombs, 2 dead and 2 wounded, the state emergency service reports. Emergency rescue operations have already been completed. Okay, so we can see some damage here to homes. Once again, Kostiantynivka, we just reported strikes over here not too long ago, okay, probably a few weeks back. Same thing, we had bombs being dropped over here, and people having to be saved, trapped under rubble, okay? So once again, we're seeing that as well inside of Ukraine. Now we're going to jump on to numerous other topics coming out from this war. From NOAA reports, Zelensky revealed that at one city there were no missiles for the Patriot air defense system, saying at 5 a.m., the commander reported, 8 targets are incoming, but we have no air defense missiles. Okay, so that's very bad news. So if Russia launches another major attack with missiles, at least in this area wherever this commander was at, they're not going to be able to shoot down any of these incoming missiles, and that's not good news, because that means Ukraine is short on them, at least in that area. And just more recently, we've been seeing a lot of strikes inside of Ukraine. Ukraine being overwhelmed with their air defense teams right now. And I think a lot of this is due to just over the last week, Russia's been launching well over 120 drones per day, just like today, close to 170. Now, from Flash Report, Britain is considering deploying Typhoon fighter jets to patrol Ukraine's airspace as part of peacekeeping efforts. Aiming to provide security guarantees without a large troop presence. Discussions are ongoing about air policing mission, but such an operation would require a substantial number of aircraft and robust air defense systems to be effective, according to the Times. Okay, so it looks like a new report coming out today from the Times. British Typhoons may help keep peace in Ukraine if Russia drops objections. Fighter jets will be easier than ground troops for Britain to supply. Okay, so it looks like Britain is thinking about sending Typhoon fighter jets into Ukraine, at least to patrol their skies, versus just deploying troops on the ground. We don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, Russia came out yesterday saying they will reject any peace deal offering with NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine after the war ends. They don't want that. But maybe British Typhoons could be patrolling the skies on the demarcation line if they happen to create that DMZ on the eastern side of Ukraine. We'll see what happens here. But that was a new report today regarding Britain. Now, from next breaking, Keith Kellogg arrives in Kiev. Okay, I can let you guys know about this yesterday that he would be here. You know, it's kind of nice that I'm here just a few days before the third anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's a chance to have a good time, he said after his arrival. He also claimed that we understand that the need to be here for this approach to solving this nation. And part of my mission is to sit with the United States, talk to President Trump and the rest of the people just to ensure that we get this right as we go on for years. Okay, so we're not going to watch this whole thing, but just briefly here while we're talking, this is Keith Kellogg right here as he's getting off the locomotive inside of Kiev. And I did let you guys know yesterday that Zelensky plans to bring him to the front line so he can see the reality of the situation on the ground on the front. We'll see if that happens to be the case, if he brings him over there. But he should be over there negotiating with Zelensky today and talking a lot about this war. We'll probably have more updates later today about him visiting, okay? Here's one from the Ukrainian Review. Yermak met with Kellogg in Kiev. Kellogg will be briefed on the situation on the battlefield by the military command and commanders on the ground. Russia's trying to sow discord, to lie, to quarrel between Ukraine and the U.S. The principle of nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine is key. We are interested in the U.S. being on the side of the truth and justice, and it is on our side. All right, so here's a photo of Andriy Yermak, who is, he works right alongside Zelensky in the presidential office. And he did meet with Keith Kellogg today, as you can see here in the photos, okay? So, more cooperation between Ukraine and the United States today. We should be hearing a lot of news coming out from this meeting today, very soon. Now for Vicegrad 24, breaking. Financial Times writes that the EU is considering to redirect 93 billion euros in unused funds intended for recovery from the pandemic for defense purposes instead. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised we see this happening a lot. I'm sure the EU is going to be reallocating a lot of funds that they used in previous packages in the past, whether it be from the pandemic or whatnot, and they're going to be moving it towards Ukraine now. And this is a very big sign that Europe is waking up and they realize the threat from Russia. They realize the threat of Ukraine losing this war, and some people might say, why did they do this a lot sooner? I don't know why they didn't, but they're doing it now, and we should be seeing a lot of huge, I'm talking billions upon billions of aid packages, or dollars or euros in aid packages, going to Ukraine here very soon. We talked about that yesterday, gave you guys an update on that, potentially in the hundreds of billions going to Ukraine to fund this war, okay? Now from Anton Gerashenko, Putin said his assessment of the negotiations in Saudi Arabia yesterday was positive and friendly. He's trying to convey that it's possible to just turn the page over and pretend that the 3 years of the full-scale war never happened. Russia and the West can be friends again. If he's allowed to get away with it, this will be a geopolitical catastrophe, to say the least. Okay, so we had Vladimir Putin in an interview today. Got a couple videos and clips coming out of him talking. And this video is pretty much just him stating that, you know, the U.S. and Russia is going to be able to get along now. They're going to be able to work together. We were hearing a little bit of that yesterday, and I think we might see that moving forward. The U.S. and Russia is going to be building on their ties together and trying to resolve a lot of their past issues. Okay, so take a look at this.
Да, и, извините, и в целом, как мне докладывали, она была очень доброжелательной. Была очень доброжелательной. Как мне сказали наши участники, это совсем с американской стороны были совсем другие люди, которые были открыты для переговорного процесса, без всякой предвзятости, без всяких осуждений того, что было сделано в прошлом. Во всяком случае, в двусторонних контактах этого ничего не было, но настроенные на совместную работу, открытые для совместной работы. Оценка положительная.
All right, so pretty crazy that we went from just a few months ago, Russia coming out and saying that they're going to start nuking people all over the place, to all of a sudden, oh, now we want to work with the Americans and we're going to resolve our issues and move forward and start working together diplomatically. It's pretty crazy, the complete 180 out of nowhere. And maybe some of this has to do with Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that as we move forward here. For more translated now, Putin, our troops are advancing along the entire front line. Yes, but there's one detail. After that, they return in black bags. Putin's statement about an offensive was refuted by the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation. There was an attempt by the Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group to enter Ukrainian territory. The SRG was eliminated. There is currently no Russian military grouping capable of conducting a large-scale offensive on Ukrainian territory. All right, so Putin in this video is going to talk about that. He's going to state that apparently some Russian soldiers were able to enter over to Ukrainian territory, kind of cross the border, and it looks like Ukraine's head of the Center for Countering Disinformation came out and refuted that. And Putin's also going to be basically stating here that their troops are advancing all along the front line. So go ahead and take a look at this.
На линии боевого соприкосновения. Ну вот самая последняя информация, которую мне доложили буквально час назад. Сегодня ночью бойцы 810-й бригады пересекли границу Российской Федерации и Украины и вышли на территорию противника. И по всей линии боевого соприкосновения наши войска наступают. На линии боевого соприкосновения.
Okay, just a quick clip here, but yeah, he's stating that some soldiers from Russia crossed over the border into Ukraine, but Ukraine's coming out refuting that. He's also stating that his soldiers are constantly advancing along the front. I mean, for the most part this year, they really have not advanced too much, at least based on a lot of the reports that we have seen. But you guys can let me know if you think that Putin's telling the truth there on his soldiers advancing all along the front line, okay? Now for Mosin Defender, Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced the restoration of diplomatic ties between the United States and Russia following yesterday's summit in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so this was literally just coming out the last couple hours of the time that I record this for you guys today on February 19th, 2025. So I feel like we're going to see that moving forward. We're going to see the U.S. and Russia heavily working together. And we know that Trump gets along really well with Vladimir Putin. So that is most likely going to be the case. So expect that moving forward. And yeah, a huge announcement today from Vladimir Putin. They're going to be restoring diplomatic ties with the U.S., okay? So now I want to talk to you guys about some statements coming out from Trump yesterday as he was holding a press conference in Mar-a-Lago, okay? He's talked about Ukraine a lot and bashing on Zelensky. So I want to show you some of the statements that were coming out here. These might not be all of them, but it's a good majority that next to put together for you guys. Trump put all responsibility for the war on Ukraine and Zelensky, ? Donald Trump, after the meeting of the delegations of the United States and the Russian Federation in Saudi Arabia, answered the questions of journalists, making a number of high-profile statements. So first one was Ukraine should have not started the war, but should have immediately made a deal with the Russian Federation. How to do that with a country that wants to destroy you, he did not explain. Zelensky does not participate in the negotiations for exactly the same reason, because he had 3 years to negotiate and the conflict could have been resolved without territorial losses. There have been no elections in Ukraine for a long time, and Zelensky's rating has fallen to 4%. Zelensky doesn't know where half the money in the U.S. gave him is. I haven't seen a single report. Trump complained and said America had given Kiev, I think, $350 billion. Putin would have invaded and bombed Kiev long ago if he wanted to, but so far he just won't do it. Trump doesn't mind the European military in Ukraine, but he won't send U.S. troops there. Also, Trump is literally meeting with Putin just the other day, and the war will be over soon, okay? So these were huge statements coming out from Trump yesterday, and this definitely triggered a lot of supporters on X, anybody supporting Ukraine. A lot of people were unhappy to hear a lot of these statements and pretty much coming out and saying that he's speaking on behalf of Putin and trying to appease him and trying to make Zelensky look like the bad guy here. That Zelensky started this war even though Russia invaded. I mean, so many huge statements yesterday. Also, this big one here saying that Zelensky's rating had fallen to 4%, and that they should be holding elections right now. I believe part of the peace plan that was agreed on by the U.S. and Russia, a large percentage of it was to make sure that elections get held before any kind of ceasefire is agreed to. They want elections inside of Ukraine. So, yeah, guys, just huge statements coming out from Trump yesterday, and I'm sure that may upset a lot of people. But it looks like Donald Trump is not completely on Ukraine's side and maybe siding with Russia on certain topics. But he claims that support is going to continue to Ukraine, but ultimately they're trying to end this war. So let me know what you guys think about all these statements here today. Now, also for Max 24, we have a new statement from Donald Trump today that just came out in the last hour or so. And I want to show you guys this. Okay, this is from Donald J. Trump on True Social, which is his platform. Okay, think of it, a modestly successful comedian, Vladimir Zelensky, talked to the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization? In that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us. We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money we sent him is missing. He refuses to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. A dictator without elections, Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something I'll admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried, Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died, and so it continues. All right, so new statement today, and again, Trump coming out completely bashing on Zelensky. It's all Zelensky's fault for starting this war and continuing the war. He could have ended a long time ago. He could have, pushed with Joe Biden to end this war as well. Biden never even tried to end the war. I mean, just so many statements coming out, blaming the Biden administration, his previous administration before him, and also Zelensky ultimately, okay, that it's all their fault for the most part is what it seems like to me. And obviously still coming out stating that he wants to end this war, okay? So kind of reiterating the same claims as yesterday is what I see there. Now for NOAA Reports, this morning KIIS published a poll showing 57% trust in me. So if someone wants to replace me right now, it won't work, says Zelensky. The president added that the disinformation about 4% comes from Russia, which spread this narrative to the Americans. Okay, so that's what Zelensky was stating today. A new poll coming out, 57% trust in Vladimir Zelensky. You guys can let me know what you think. Do you agree with that? That 57% of Ukrainians would agree with the way Zelensky is handling the war right now, handling the country, dealing with all these issues. Share your thoughts and concerns and opinions in the comment section on that one, okay? Now from Azov South again, I will announce my decision to run for president when the appropriate conditions arise, as raising this issue now is completely inappropriate, says Valery Zaluzhny. Okay, so Zaluzhny, you guys probably remember him. He was the previous commander of Ukraine's armed forces. He was in command just prior to Alexander Syrsky, okay, and then he got replaced by Syrsky at one point, and Ukraine decided to keep him within the government, and I believe right now he is the ambassador of Ukraine for the United Kingdom, okay? So he's coming out and announcing he may run for president very soon, and this is something that's been talked about for probably like a year now or so, or pretty much since before he even got removed from post as a commander. A lot of people actually apparently look up to him inside of Ukraine, okay? He's very popular, and a lot of people were even unhappy whenever he got removed as the commander for Ukraine's armed forces, so I think he could have a very good shot at running for president in Ukraine if he chooses to do so, okay? All right, now a couple more things to share with you before we get you out of here. This is from Bliskovka. Air Defense Forces of Ukraine shot down 106 of 167 Russian UAVs. 56 enemy imitator UAVs were lost locally without negative consequences. Okay, so 167 drones going into Ukraine last night. We've been seeing more and more drones. I wouldn't be surprised we start seeing over 200 at some point. It's been for sure over 120 per night over the last probably 3 days now. And we've been seeing it steadily increasing closer to 170 per day. Okay, so pretty crazy. Looks like Ukraine was able to bring down a good majority, though. All right, now final update from the Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of February 19th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. All right, last update of the day. Russia's losses as of February 19th, 1,300 troops, 23 AFVs, 146 vehicles and fuel tanks, 19 tanks, 72 artillery systems, 175 UAVs, 3 MLRS, 4 anti-aircraft warfare systems, and 1 special equipment. Okay, guys, so lots of big numbers here. Troop losses still kind of around the same. We've been seeing right around 1,200, 13 at the most. And then vehicles and fuel tanks, almost 200 today. Quite a bit of vehicles being destroyed. And this time, tank numbers up much higher, closer to 20. Lots of artillery systems, 272. So lots of equipment reportedly being destroyed on the Russian side, all at the same time while Vladimir Putin was saying today that they're advancing on all fronts. I mean, just inside the Kursk region alone, we haven't really seen Russia advancing at all over the last couple weeks, at least based on a lot of the maps that we've been able to obtain and show you guys. So I'm not sure if Vladimir Putin is completely correct on that part, but you guys can let me know what you think. Lots of huge news coming out from this war, guys. I should have multiple updates for you today to share more info with you and more support going to Ukraine very soon as well. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.